Welcome to the Boba Joe Show. If this is your first night, you have to fight, but you can only use your words.
Not JP, it's extinct. Those are my words. As it
My
is
pencil
written.
case was extinct. That's the one I mentioned on last year's Jurassic Park show. I used to have a pencil case. And JP was cool because it was actually my initials are actually JPS. So I put an S after the JP on the pencil case.
No prizes for guessing what today's show is about.
I have no idea. I have no idea what it's about. Could be 90s forever. Dinosaurs. They're back, baby.
Back with a bang. Did they ever leave? Maybe they left for a short period of time, but then they
went on
really
holiday.
came back.
They might have gained some feathers and hung out in China and made some bootlegs, and then they're back again.
I'm digging this Saved by the Bell.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going for. There's two influences. Was Saved by the Bell. I mean, this was in lots of stuff like Fresh Prince, Saved by the Bell. Decca in New Zealand used to have catalogs. If you get like the 1990 catalog with like turtles or whatever, it all had the pink and the triangles and the grids and all that stuff.
There's a majestic presence I see watching over us in the corner as well.
Oh, yes, he's still up there from last week's show. Should we change that to something else? Or do we leave them there? It's like, don't know. They can stay there.
Yeah. Bjorn is here in spirit watching over us through the eye of the tiger.
Eye of the tiger, baby. Yeah, speaking of friends and other toy collecting people, I'm going to say today's episode about dinosaurs. We'll be talking about 90s cartoons, toys, movies, science exhibits, all paraphernalia relating to that particular decade. But there's someone out there who's very inspiring and very knowledgeable at dinosaurs and dinosaur toys, and that's GOJITRON. So today's episode is dedicated, like Casey Kasem style, like today's episode dedicated to GOJITRON. If you're listening out there, we like you, we love you, enjoy your dinosaurs and your toys. And I did get some rack toys inspired by GOJITRON to go with the show, some little glow-in-the-dark dinosaurs. They should be like $2, but it cost me about $20 because everything costs a fortune in Australia.
Yeah.
But okay, we've got a special little clip I'm going to play, and then we'll get into the main show. Here he goes.
Stand back, Superman, Iceman, Spider-Man, Batman, and Robin too. Go on.
Step right up, folks, and witness the unstoppable force of GOJITRON. YouTuber supreme and mega colossal purveyor of wonders beyond imagination. This titan of pop culture trade doesn't just offer wisdom. Oh no. He delivers life-changing, city-shaking upgrades. With one click, you could be towering over skylines, casting shadows for miles, and roaring with the might of a movie monster. Why settle for human-sized dreams when you can live at kaiju proportions? GOJITRON. Click now, stomp later.
You think you know fashion? Well, fashion's a stranger.
So yeah, there's a playlist. If you check that out, of just GOJITRON guest talks from last year or so. I always forget to like promote stuff, and then if it goes in there and you kind of forget about it, months go by. And I'm like, so I made sure to update it. They're all in there together, and you can see awesome talks about like Hulk and bloody crazy monsters and other stuff, as well as check out his channel, of course, where he does like awesome like GOJITRON's Isle of Weird and does cool like retrospects of some different vintage and modern toys and weird TV shows and Hanna-Barbera cartoon Godzilla and other stuff like that.
GOJITRON's channel is fantastic, and it's one of those channels where I don't care how much of a geek or a nerd or an expert you may think you are, you'll always learn something new watching a GOJITRON video. I would highly recommend his
I didn't know that ISIS TV show existed. ISIS the superhero, not the other thing, thank you. I knew the character existed, but I didn't know there was a bloody TV show that predated Wonder Woman, Bionic Woman. I was like, oh. I knew about Shazam. I knew about some of the crummy old serials and that, but I didn't know they made a live-action ISIS TV show because I've never seen it. I don't think it ever played over here.
1990s. Oh, yeah. I remember them fondly.
I
I
do.
remember
Like,
Dinomania.
I was a dinosaur obsessed kid, and I remember being in primary school, and the three things that always caught my attention, like you go into the school library, like the little one, you know, it's kind of like the younger kids section of that. But we had the proper library at the school as opposed to the public library. Like Asterix and Tintin books I'd always be reading, and anything to do with dinosaurs, and I'd always be getting those ones. And that kind of carried on for a number of years. And I was still looking at Dinosaur and Asterix and Tintin years later when other people had grown out. I was reading the more sciencey stuff and more facts and things. And, you know, a lot of it's fiction now because they're always updating, changing science based on whatever they discovered next to do with dinosaurs and that. But a quick little blurb here before we get into the rest of the lovely images and talking. The 90s were a golden age for dinosaur media, kicked off by Jurassic Park and other things, and fueled by advances in CGI, educational interest, and a growing demand for dino-themed kids content. So goodbye Chuck E. Cheese, hello dinosaur-themed everything. From realistic docu-dramas to tie-in action cartoons and toys, dinosaurs became a pop culture phenomenon across TV, film, games, toys, books, and comic books. Thank you very much. The decade balanced science and spectacle, forever changing how we see and imagine ancient beasts. And there really was just like a crazy amount of media, and like you and I both lived through it, so you kind of forget even half it. You look back and go, "There's even whatever you can remember." There was just so much more. It's like,
Yeah, it was quite the time. And look, we've kind of touched on this a little bit before when we did our Jurassic Park on our Cadillacs and dinosaur chats, and even just our general dinosaur toy chats. Like dinosaurs obviously have always been a thing and a popular, genre or topic among people, but there's something about the 90s where it's just like this ungodly nexus of just all the dinosaur stuff coming together for the hype decade of dinosaurs. It just never went away, and it was just more and more stuff, and I consumed a lot of it and missed some of it, but we're going to try and cast as broad a net as possible today and try and pull in as much stuff as we can remember. But I'm sure, folks watching are probably going to know of and remember things that me and Johnny missed today. So definitely let us know if there's any
like there's several
90s specific
obscure
dinosaur stuff.
storylines, I think, from the early or late 80s, early 90s. Not the big ones. We're going to mention stuff like Dino Riders, even though it was 80s. There's all sorts of obscure ones that are like kind of like from young toddler to teenage. Like dinosaur stuff really goes from like anything from 0 to age 20. There's some kind of target demographic, media, toy, whatever. There's just everything. There's just so many things.
I kind of remember like in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of my dinosaur toys were essentially just rubber dinosaurs that you definitely would not describe as being scientifically accurate. Like I remember having a green stegosaurus that had like blood red eyes and sharp teeth, like I don't think it was
sometimes it would be dragons or have two heads and stuff like that.
Yeah, also, yeah, they were almost more monster than dinosaur, but
they were very much in that kind of stop motion, not sciencey monster style where find them at the news agent or the drugstore or whatever. And
yeah, like even my any kind of dinosaurs that were regular dinosaurs, they had that Valley of Guanji style look to them. A lot of them where it's like,
which when I was younger, like
imagine them.
It's a particular look, and then we get to everything post Jurassic Park became much more biomechanically accurate, the way muscle hangs and all that. Good advances, computer, whatever, but it's no different than as Badger talked about the old Harryhausen films and the armatures. It's really about good physics and good muscle and the way things hang and move, as opposed to looking stiff and strange. But post Jurassic Park, things became much more kind of more like if you saw a bloody alligator today or a tuatara lizard in New Zealand, both have been around since dinosaur times and that, it would move more realistically, whereas the older style ones are kind of stiff and they're more upright. They're kind of like old man dinosaurs with weird hunches, and they've cobbled them together from 3 different misassembled skeletons. But now some of those older toys, I really miss seeing those ones because it reminded me of the stop motion style. Before everything went super sciencey, it was just kind of more interpretive and up to what someone was doing in a fantasy/monster film.
That's why I have a kind of special place in my heart for those Leonard T-Rexes that you and I both own, because they are done in that kind of old style pose of the upright dinosaur. You know, it's
I was one of those people, like my reissue Triptychon, he sits upright. My Titan scale, he goes long ways like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he's the more fluid bird-like interpretation, you know.
He's an Olympic runner with a big mouth.
But you mentioned there about the kind of whole biomechanics of it all and the kind of change in perception of what they are. They go from being these kind of lumbering monsters to these dynamic
brainless beasts.
Kind of, yes,
cold-blooded, man. Got that song, Cold-Blooded.
It goes to different extremes though by the end of the decade, because then we start seeing those depictions of dinosaurs being more kind of feathery and bird-like. It kind of but for a little while we get that sweet spot of these kind of just very cool looking dinosaurs. Like, I love that kind of the Jurassic Park dinosaur look. We all know the look we're talking about here, like, you know, and we're going to be seeing it a lot on today's show, looking at some of these properties. I'm loving this Turok artwork here.
Yeah. I remember like that N64 game was like, that was quite popular, and it was janky as hell on that bloody controller though, falling down those damn pits. Now I'm replaying it on the PS4 download, and it's all upscaled with nice resolution, no bloody fog except what should be there. And I can actually do those stupid jumps properly with, because I've got twin analog sticks instead of the janky N64 controller. But that was on sale $10, and I'm loving playing that. But that Turok was based on the old 50s Turok, which was like Dell or Goldkey. I think Dell it jumped around a couple of different publishers. But then they revived it in the 90s with Valiant Comics. In the early 90s, Valiant went bust, and then Acclaim took over, which we remember from like Mortal Kombat home ports. Acclaim, and a company known for doing a lot of garbage, and then also going out of business. But they were doing the relaunch Turok, because you had old classic Turok was the guy with the longer hair, like, you know, Indian tribal looking dude, and then the younger guy, he had like the shorter hair, and he was more like that typical 90s, almost like 90s Image Comics kind of like I'm too cool for school character, and he was like the relaunch Turok of the later 90s.
Well, Johnny, every day is a school day, because I didn't even realize that Turok had that type of you know, source material. I always assumed
he
it
goes back to the 50s.
Life.
It goes like,
I thought
like
it was
Valiant.
a game from the get-go.
No, Valiant Comics, remember in the early 90s, they did all those like well, they were basically like independent style comics, but they had a who's who of big Marvel DC talent. But that they had several old characters: Magnus Robot Fighter, Dr. Solar Man, and Animatoric were all characters from decades ago that are basically, they weren't quite in public domain, but they were properties that basically nobody wanted and no one was using, so they could snap them up cheap and do relaunches of, the way Hasbro would, you know, buy up brands now.
It was a real heavy hitter for the 64 as well, though, as an actual game.
Kick-ass game, like, violent as hell too. Like the way the death animations and the blood spurts out of guys' necks and stuff. Actually, they do almost like a Ric Flair kind of dance. Even if you just tap them with a gun, they flail about and do this big dramatic fall and everything.
I'm kind of curious now to check out those old comics though, because I just never knew that was
they're actually pretty cool. Like I haven't really read the 50s ones. Like you can see some of them on some dodgy torrents and all that. But the ones from the early 90s Valiant ones, I read the complete run of Magnus Robot Fighter, awesome comic. Solar is awesome, and Turok's pretty good too. Like great art, good stories. So jumping back in time a little from our mainly 90s focus, we had Dino Riders from Tyco, very popular toy line. I used to have the Monoclonius with Marco, and they're pricey as hell to get now in box or complete, but you can get loose ones fairly cheap if you don't care about all the saddles and guns and bits. Did you have any of these when you were a kid? I only had the one.
So I did have them, but not under the Dino Riders branding.
I had them on a different brand.
I had a couple of these later on. So I I had one or two of the Cadillacs and dinosaurs, but also I believe we spoke about this before. There was I think it was like an American National History Museum or something
Yes.
like that. That these dinosaurs, and they were basically the Dino Riders dinosaurs without all the gimmicks attached. So you just buy it without the saddle for the rider, without any of the weapons or any of the stuff, and they were just really nice, articulated plastic dinosaur toys. So yeah,
They're
I'd be
very
familiar
beautiful
with some of the
sculpts, and they
toys.
are for a toy line that's a complete like science fiction boys toy fantasy. When you take all the bits off and separate it from the fairly low budget direct market cartoon, because some of the early VHS stuff they used to sell the cartoon, there was very few episodes made and it didn't really go anywhere. But the toy line's popular, the cartoon bombed. But the underneath, you take all the bits off the dinosaurs as saddles and guns, very kind of true to life looking sort of textures and sculpt looking. They were going for like a realistic look as opposed to the old $2 bootleg look at, the rubber ones and that.
Even just looking at this picture here, it's beautiful artwork, first of all, but it also
reminds me of the old
reminds
Transformers
me
box art and that, the big mural kind of pictures.
Yeah, it even reminds me, there was like a lot of, I remember back in the day even getting books from the library that would be these like science fiction adventure books about, essentially like astronauts finding a planet of dinosaurs and stuff like that. And they'd always have these really beautiful artistic depictions, of the stories. It just really gets the imagination flowing when you see stuff like this, especially as a youngster.
Yeah, usually the artwork would be better than the story. Pulp Fiction stuff, like the artwork was like the best part of it. But yeah, they did amazing designs. Not just the dinosaurs, but the whole play pattern of the crazy armor and bits, and like the factions were fairly generic, but the actual design of all the toys is like awesome. Like they're fantastic toys.
Great designs, and you can see, like, even just looking at, if we ignore the kind of extra accoutrements and just look at the dinosaur itself here, that is a really nice skull. It's just a nice looking mold, and you can see how you could resell that later on in the 90s again.
That's the Diplodocus, who's like fairly big, and at least as big as your Mattel T-Rex, like your medium-sized one. I think there's a smaller one of like a Patasaurus or something that's actually a bit cheaper. I was looking at loose on eBay the other day. I might actually pick up a couple of these cheapy ones and chuck them with my modern Mattel Jurassic Park ones, because they go quite well for the look to them.
Yeah, like you're saying, even though it's an 80s property, but it spawns a load of stuff into the 90s, or it's reused into the 90s to the point where, I as a 90s kid just associated it with stuff from, like, I didn't even really know about Dino Riders until I was almost like an adult. It was.
I just had the one toy, and I had one VHS cassette because it must have been cheap, because I got them for like a birthday one year, and I had it for a long, long time. And at some point, I didn't have any more. It's one of the few toys I actually miss that I don't have.
Oh, they looked awesome.
They got that Pac-Man mini comic as well.
If you could get them for a reasonable price, I'd be very
tempted. The smaller ones, not the giant ones, but the kind of like your Triceratops size ones and Raptor size ones. Those loose you can get actually fairly good price. So some other examples of stuff we had then and now, which is not just the name of this toy, but literally then and now you can find dinosaur skeletons, little rubber dinosaurs and that, or rack toys as Gojitron calls them. You can find this kind of stuff all over the place in newsagents and drugstores, as well as your chain stores. And there's always a glut of stuff. I actually went to local shops and I've got a bunch of pictures just of anything dinosaur themed that's currently on the shelf. And the dinosaur themed stuff stretched into 5 different sections. It was in like boys' toys, action figures with Jurassic Park. It was in all the Zuru Robo Alive stuff. It was in blind box mini egg things that you break open. It was in the young 10 and under junior toys, like your play school looking toys, those little chibi small figures and stuff. There was so much different dinosaur stuff. And I actually put a bunch of photos in here, but there was too much and the files were too big, and I took them out again. So that's why they're not there.
Of course, this is a Galoob release. We looked at this recently with the Epic Badger when we did our Galoob show. These are the type of toys that even in present day you still see kind of being knocked off
Yeah.
and put out. Like you can go into any cheap shop now and still find a little set like this where you get the kind of outer body and the inner skeleton. They're just kind of generic dinosaur sets, but
And,
as
you
we'll
still
get to,
get
I'm sure.
you still get the plastic skeletons, and then often you get those model kit wooden ones as well that you put together.
Yes. And we'll be spoiler, we will be kind of looking at something like that later, and we talk about a certain magazine where you have to put something together.
But
Oh,
yeah,
look, you
another
can't go to the extreme here. Extreme.
Extreme Dinosaurs. Yeah, we had Extreme Dinosaurs. It was a spin-off of Street Sharks, in that style of, like, you know, turtles and biker mice and all that. And these toys are pretty cool too. And not unlike the Dino Riders, they come with armor accessory parts, which if you want these complete or in package, they're fairly pricey. There's not that many of them, but loose ones you can get actually cheap. Still fairly common now. You can get cheap kind of aliens loose. You can get cheap Extreme Dinosaurs. I've only got one or two, and I actually want to pick up some more this year while they're still cheap. Eventually they'll go away. Someone will go, I actually want these after so many years at a certain age, and they'll disappear as well.
I feel like we could have just stuck a pin in it right now, because like even just looking at it, it's like it's the most 90s thing ever. Extreme
Yeah, it sure is.
Dinosaur. Like the way, like everything about it, the font, Dino Vision, like it's just so.
And the dinosaur's got sunglasses on, which reminds me of that, like, Dinosaurs for Hire comic book, and then the artwork style of this seems very much influenced by that.
I don't think I ever watched a single episode of the cartoon. Like I've watched a few episodes of Street Sharks, but I've never
it's kind of
watched
so bad
any
it's good.
Extreme
I have the
Dinosaurs.
complete thing saved on my, like, digital things. I don't know, because the DVD is not available, but I watch this on weekends now and then, and it's like, I love it, but you can only watch so much of it at a time.
Would you say it's better or worse than Street Sharks? Because Street Sharks wasn't the best.
I think it's a better show than Street Sharks, because it's
That's
so
good.
over the top, and it's so, like, in your face and radical dudes and extreme, and it's like if you're hanging out with Bill and Ted all day. It's like, okay, how much can they say dude and get high and talk a bunch of shit? I'm like, okay, I need to do something else and be around other people for a while.
They are very, very cool looking figures, though. I could definitely see.
And I do like them better
you know,
without the armor. Again, they're really cool sculpts on them.
it's a little bit like as Toxic Crusaders as the Turtles, I suppose. Extreme Dinosaurs are the Street Sharks, because you
Very much.
you probably have a lot of hardcore Street Shark collectors that, because they are like a spin-off from Street Sharks, aren't they? Am I right in saying
Yeah.
that?
But
They
both
are
the show and the
officially-
toy line directly came out of Street Sharks.
Yeah.
Like, it is
That's
actually a
interesting.
continuation of the Street Sharks line.
Yeah, just the timing was maybe a bit off for me. What I was kind of picking up at the time when these came out, because I do remember seeing them in shops and always thinking that they looked really cool.
Yeah,
But I don't think
I was getting a
had
bit
any of them.
older, and I still like turtles in general. But, like, as far as I was in high school, I was, you know, more kind of reading comics and playing video games and Mega Drive and PlayStation. But my younger sister, who's 10 years younger than me, she'd be watching this after school, Street Sharks and this, and she had a couple of random Street Sharks and some of these guys. So I did see them, but she was younger than me, but she loved it because it was, you know, she was probably about 10, 11 years old or whatever.
Well, look, you know, it's a good
Actually, no, she's
formula
more like
if you can
6
get-
or 7. It's like, 'cause I'm bad at math.
if you can have like 4, you know, wisecracking teens and mutate them with some type of animal, you know, it's a recipe for success for a kids' TV show.
Don't ask me why on that VHS cover on the right, they've got the bloody Spanish Inquisition or something down the bottom. I've never seen them in the episodes. Don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, what is the deal
yeah,
there? Yeah, it's a
There's on my list this year to pick up some other loose ones, because there's not that many actual different sculpts. There's only a few and quite a few repaints. So I actually want to pick these up this year. Then, of course, we had Jurassic Park toys. I always forget whether was it Kenner did them first and then later Hasbro did them, or was it the other way around? I always get them mixed up.
Oh no, that's right. Yeah, Canner had them first. another example of a fantastic Kenner toy line. You know, Kenner made that better stuff than fucking Hasbro could ever dream
Oh,
of
for
making.
sure, because they didn't just do good toys; they did good play patterns and accessories and the way things go together. And
like Mattel are doing a pretty good job now, but when Hasbro had this license, they really dropped the ball with that first
oh, they
Jurassic World film. They did terrible stuff back in 2015.
yeah,
But we're not here to talk about 2015. We're here to talk about the glorious 90s, and these Jurassic Park toys. Like it's the peak of the 90s dinosaur mania, and I think what really changes the game here is that little JP logo and the whole marketing thing of, you know, if it's not JP, it's extinct. You know, you have to
yeah,
get these official
that cattle
Jurassic
brand.
Park toys. All of a sudden, your generic rubber dinosaurs just aren't going to do the trick
They're not
anymore.
good
You
enough,
know,
Mark. They've got the rub sign.
exactly, exactly. How will you know if this dinosaur is an authentic Autobot or Decepticon without the JP rub symbol? You know.
That could be Megatron the disguise.
But the toys were fantastic, and you know they were a mix of how the creatures actually appear on screen, but they're also quite colorful and, you know, artsy in their own way. I think that really makes them stand out. Like the
Yeah,
fact
that
that
makes
this
them for good.
T-Rex we're looking
Makes
at is
them
red.
generally good kids' toys. Me at the time, I never had any of these, and I was at an age where I could see they were good toys, but I wasn't into buying toys at that time. This is when I'd grown out of kid stuff, but before I got into like action figures, you know, like when you're adult buying, like, you know, like I want a Spider-Man that looks like Spider-Man and all that. But like when I saw them in the stores, I was like, oh man, they're all crazy colors. It's like bloody G2, G.I. Joe and Transformers shit all over again. I'm like, where's the proper colors? It was kind of annoying me, but now I really enjoy all the crazy colors and stuff. Plus, no one knows what the fuck colored dinosaurs we actually were. It's not like it matters. So it makes them more interesting.
Oh, look, as long as you're not trying to make them too accurate and have them with feathers and all sorts of stuff. But
Yes. Well, unless
no,
it's
look,
got
I
one of
love
those Leonardo da Vinci flying mechanisms, it's not a realistic dinosaur to me.
I think with Jurassic Park as well, and this is me kind of because of the age I was and because of the fact, like I said earlier, I had missed out on Dino Riders as a toy line. So Jurassic Park was like one of the first toy lines for me where you actually had humans and vehicles go along with these dinosaurs as well. You weren't just you
Yeah.
know, taking your other human characters from other toy lines and having to use them with dinosaurs. All of a sudden there was like official characters that went along with these dinosaurs that, you know, you could use in conjunction with them, because like I was obviously stoked as a kid to get the dinosaurs, but it did blow my mind, you know, getting my hands on, you know, the Jeeps and, you know, some of the human characters with their gimmicky weapons as well. Like it was cool to be able to have that stuff as a kid. But the dinosaurs were pretty next level as well when especially when you're comparing them with your, you know, your regular kind of rubber ones that you had lying around the house. Like even this Red Rex, like it's got like a rubber body with plastic limbs. It's got the electronic roaring sound. You know, you can squeeze the neck and open and close the mouth. It's just a really nice toy and just a really
Really good
cool toy to
design.
get.
I saw in
Yeah,
the
beautiful.
shops a couple of years back that Hasbro did their homage to this one, and I was going to get it because like, oh cool, it's like retro style, it's in the same kind of color patterns and all that, and I was going to buy it, and it was a bit pricey, and I ended up not getting it because it had the rubber again. I was like, I felt the head, and I was like, oh, it's all rubber, that's going to fall apart in a few years. I'm not paying $60-$70 for this because it's going to fall apart. So they did a nice homage to it, but I ended up not buying it because of how homage it was. I really love the box on this. You got the Jurassic Park logo. You've got this nice red and yellow going all around. So thematically, we've got the colors. Then down the bottom, we've got the palm trees, which is like Isla Nublar in the tropics and tropic storms and all that. And then we've got Tyrannosaurus Rex and JP fonts. Then over the side, electronic and the old LCD digital 24 font. So just everything about this box I love.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then right there in the corner, you can see official JP09, you know.
That little J
It's
with the P
official.
coming off, that's the logo I had on my old pencil case.
Yeah. Iconic. I just love it. It's like the branding was so spot on. Like that's the real genius, I think, of Jurassic Park. So like a lot of the genius is how it was marketed. Like it was just
Yes.
so well done. And I know I'll just I'll give ourselves another shout out here. We have covered in depth, you know, Jurassic Park. Not just we've obviously done a film review, but we also did our kind of like favorite dinosaur toys as well. I definitely recommend folks go back and actually check it out because we do go into kind of detail on specific examples of some of these old Kenner ones. But it's tough to articulate how big an impact these had at the time. You really had to live through it to see how it just totally changed the game. And even though I was kind of saying, oh well, look, they were giving the rubber dinosaurs a run for their money, that is true, that is true. But there was also like a general kind of rising tide of dinosaur mania that just meant like I remember walking into toy shops and it was just like dinosaurs everywhere. Like not just the Jurassic Park stuff. Like Jurassic Park would be your most, you know, featured and expensive stuff, but there was still tons of other dinosaur stuff um just being spun off from that was being sold. And it was just unbelievable to see this stuff in the shops at the time. Blew my mind as a kid.
Yeah, and I like that they have also on the box a realistic dinosaur skin. And if you want to experience it at home, you don't have this toy. You just get like a mix of cement, some acetone, bit of paint, get your hands all mixed up in there. 2 days later, you've got perfect dinosaur skin, chemical burns, or what have you. Don't actually do that, but I've experienced all those things, and it's about the closest you'll get to dinosaur skin today. There's back of the old box and the cross cells.
Cross cells, yeah. And yeah, I was really into these. I loved the electronic features.
Timmy or Jimmy gonna like fire that thing up T-Rex's ass or something. Look at it the way he's standing there.
Yeah, that's what he's going for.
Don't
Right
do
up
it.
the backside.
Yeah.
Red
the other
rock.
guy's got the rocket launcher on his face. I'm like, you're gonna get eaten before you fire that bloody rocket.
And of course, yeah, the man, I always love to see it. I love seeing that someone's went and built a proper diorama to showcase this scene here
Yeah,
in the
that's
back of the
beautiful.
box.
Well, one thing I
No
didn't
AI
like
trickery here.
one thing I didn't like as a kid is even though I didn't have these, but they continued this feature through other lines. That battle damage feature where the skin peels off, I'm like, stop hurting the fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Just innocent creatures. What do they do to you? Other than ruin your
These
park.
ribs. Yeah, for the battle damage, the way I used to kind of play as a kid, the battle damage was only ever inflicted kind of dinosaur on dinosaur. It wasn't the humans that
Yeah, I'm
were
okay with that. But when it's
shooting
the people
holes in the
doing it, I'm
side of
like,
my
get out of
dinosaur with a rocket. I'm going to
You
expose
didn't
your
play enough
ribs
of that
after
Super
shooting a
Nintendo
rocket.
game.
Yeah, a phenomenal toy line, and one that would you know, the original line would go for a few years and then would transition nicely into the Lost World line in the latter
Yes.
90s and 97 when that movie came out, and it was filled with fantastic toys as well.
They did all sorts of cool,
So they
crazy
kind of
repaint
dominated
and
the
weird
90s.
colors and stuff. And
Yeah, and if you want to talk expensive toys, I don't know what it is. Like the original Jurassic Park movie toys, they're still relatively affordable and easy enough to come by. When it gets to the Lost World, trying to find good examples of them that are in good nick with all the pieces, like some of those Lost World vehicles, they go for a pretty penny online these days.
I'm guessing they didn't sell as well in such high numbers, so that would make them harder to get and higher price.
Yes, I imagine so. Speak of the devil.
I love that they put out that vintage style Dimetrodon. They put it out again in the modern line, so I was happy to get one like that.
Yeah, they did a nice a modern update on that. But yeah, you can see here on that shelf as we see now, it's more or less the same. I have one or two things kind of changed around it. This is from last year when we did our dinosaur toy show. But I do love my on the kind of top shelf you see there. It's my Kenner Jurassic Park stuff is sitting there. the metal stuff is on the floor. It's the more modern interpretations, but yeah, the
Dirty
canner,
modern toys. Get out of my
yeah,
sight.
yeah, get on the floor there. You don't deserve to
I
be in
love
the
the way
canner.
that, like, you have them all facing forward, which is obviously like one of those space issues. But when I saw it, I thought, oh man, I never thought of having them like that. It just looks cool having all the mouths coming at you, and it mimics the
Yeah.
chase scene, of course.
Because now the vehicles, I don't always keep on the floor. The vehicles have their own kind of shelf on the other side of the
Yeah.
room. But yeah, that line of Rexes is still right here by my feet. That's where I store my Rexes. It's the Rex holding paddock. There's an invisible force field that keeps them all in place there. They can't leave unless I give them permission.
Or if a cat comes by and is like, I'm going to snake around here and try and see what I can knock over.
Yeah.
So another one, this was
Dinosaurs.
late 80s, but another one that tied in with the dino sort of mania was Dinosaurs. Wasn't terribly popular. I mean, they did like about a 40, 50 episode TV animation created by Michael Uslan, created the characters, that produced the guy that's produced all the Batman movies from, like, the Keaton one right through the 80s and 90s. A pretty cool show. It's definitely more younger age thing, and they've got that kind of attitude and things like Ninja Turtles and whatnot. But it's a bit of a younger age, and it's definitely like a kind of younger age show. But it's like all ages in the sense there's nothing offensive in it. It's just a fun dinosaur show. And again, like Extreme Dinosaurs, they're also aliens.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you actually have the VHS covers here, because I never saw this on television. I only saw Dinosaurs in the video shops. I don't know whether it was a case where it just didn't air over here or it didn't air at a time.
I saw it Saturday
was
mornings,
watching.
sometimes, not often. Now I've got the whole thing on digital What's it? So I have been intermittently watching this in Extreme Dinosaurs. I will watch it all the way through eventually.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a look at it, because honestly, yeah, it was just something that it flew under my radar at the time.
It's quite kiddie and at times annoying, but I love the art style of it, and the toy designs were a really beautiful look to them. Unfortunately, the toy line got basically canned, and I mean, there's a couple of lines that exist, but then they sold some sort of rights thing to like South America and Mexico or whatever. They put out, whether it's Mexico or Brazil, put out the Dino Nautas, which were like, I thought they were just like realized sculpts, but on the Gojitron video, he said that actually no, the sculpts are different, but still in the same style. But basically, it's like a kind of sub license. You know how you get those weird Mexican bootlegs that are actually official Transformers, just they're not from Hasbro, but they're from the same
like
actual official molds.
Yeah, they're using the official molds. They're just releasing them.
Yeah, with permission, but then they made their crazy own colors, like a blue bumblebee and stuff. But yeah, it's a quality show overall. It is for a younger audience, so it can get grating for an adult to try and tolerate it. But I do love the art style, and I love the toy designs. And they did a couple of years back, they did those dinosaurs I got from a couple from BBTS. They kind of got big guns and the stuff, but they're very much in the style of a mix of dinosaurs and Extreme Dinosaurs with the colors. There was like a Brachiosaurus and a green Triceratops. They're all anthropomorphic and upright with big weapons and stuff. Very much in the style of these cartoons.
Before we get on to CADILLACS here, speaking of kind of kiddie dinosaur shows, I think I remember mentioning this to you before, but it might have not been on a recorded stream. It could have just been privately or whatever. But there was a show called Dino Babies, and it was literally like a children's, like I'm talking like this is a proper kids show, like very innocent kind of, group of talking baby dinosaurs going on adventures together. But it aired over here for years. Like for most of the 90s, it was still on, it aired on TV, and probably for a little bit in the 2000s as well. So let us know, anybody listening today, if you remember Dino Babies. I remember it had a pretty catchy theme, but maybe the show itself was definitely more toddler friendly. It wasn't that watchable for the age I was.
Images of it online, but I definitely seen Muppet Babies, but I never saw the Dinosaur Babies. I've only seen pictures of it. Again, there's a nice art style, and it has nice little PVC miniatures about sort of Care Bear Smurf style.
So what we're looking at here, this is some top-notch stuff right here. We got our Xenozoic Tales inspired
If you're a
Cadillacs and
logo junkie,
Dinosaurs.
you're gonna like this box.
Yeah, and if you got the three-pronged assault here with you got a great game, great toy line, and a great cartoon series as well.
Yeah,
Just
I'd never seen that
go wrong.
cartoon until we did our special last year talking about this. And I will add in other dinosaur. We've done several dinosaur themed shows. I'll chuck them in the description of the show later. So if anyone wants to look up those shows, check out the description. I'd never seen that show until we did that. I knew about the toys. I'd played the game a hell of a lot. Didn't know there was a cartoon. Didn't know it existed. And luckily it was all on YouTube, so I was able to watch them.
Yeah, and it's all up there. I'd highly recommend it. It's
And it's quite good. It was
like,
surprisingly good.
it's quite good. Quite truthful to its source material.
Hmm.
Within, it's obviously got that type of restriction that a daytime children's TV show will have. Like, they're not going to be
Well, there
able
was
to
no
outright.
restrictions on showing a bit of belly naval action there.
Yeah, yeah. But no, a fantastic show. Like, I would say it may not be quite on the level of other popular 90s shows like, say, X-Men or Batman the Animated Series, but it's maybe only like a notch below them. It's still a very high
and the
quality
animation is
show.
good too.
Yeah, really nice animation. And of
And
course,
poor
in
old
our
King Kong Bundy,
Cadillacs
man, cutting up the
episode,
Stegosaurus. Like, is that what he's up to when he wasn't wrestling?
well, yeah, he's of course, we had a great time chatting about the Cadillacs game and that episode as well, and its wacky ending. And of course, in Cadillacs, it's not just about the traditional dinosaurs. You also get to fight loads of mutant, freaky ass dinosaurs in it as well.
And it's funny, like now, like you could got, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly, beer and nuts, whiskey and steak and Cadillacs and dinosaurs, but we never got any Hummers and Hadrosaurs. That didn't happen.
Nice.
No spin-offs. Didn't get Dodgers and Dimetrodons, and we definitely did not get Buicks and Brontosaurs. Missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, we'll never get the Buicks and Brontosaurs now because
No.
technically the Brontosaurus doesn't exist anymore. They've redesignated that dinosaur, I believe, as the Apatosaurus, and even that could be out of date now. I stand to be
But
corrected.
that doesn't work
on
for the alliteration gag of those nonsense images I just put in there. But yeah, I was thinking about it earlier today, like synonyms like Cadillacs, and it's the most nonsensical thing when you hear it, but now it's been around so long we accept it. I'm like, what other nonsensical things, like Fords and saber-toothed tigers? It doesn't make sense.
And it's one of those things that you kind of think this would be a very easy property to reboot and bring back and be popular.
Yes, you could do animation. You could do, games are too expensive now in the teams. You could do an indie game. It would probably be like some shitty pixel art game. I love pixel art, but give me a decent bloody game.
Do some big budget AAA exciting movies, It's never hit the silver screen, so it could be something to think about.
Yeah, I think the best thing would be like a modern animated series that had like a kind of Netflix animation for adults, like Hellboy style, not for kids.
Yeah, but it was quite the tale. You've got this post-apocalyptic future where dinosaurs have retaken the earth and humans are on the decline. They're kind of scavenging. They're living in a few big cities and trying to find parts and bits of old technology and machinery that they can use just to try and survive and stay alive. It's a great premise and
it's awesome. It's a bit Mad Max. It's a bit Jurassic Park, and it's mostly like old 50s science fiction and pulp era stuff, like your I don't know, your Flash Gordon and all that, as far as your kind of style and feel and swashbuckling heroes. It's very old school.
Yeah, I have a lot of time for it, and apart from any new on-screen reboots they'd like to give it, I'm sure it would sell toys as well. Given I
was very happy to get get a trade of some of the early Xenozoic Tales, which is the black and white comic. That's the core creation that spawned some other these later Tops comics and the game or whatever stuff was based on. They did a new print of that in the last couple of years, like a reprint. I had it on order on Amazon for nearly 12 months, and I thought this is never going to turn up. And then it finally turned up only a few months ago. So basically, when we did our Cadillacs and Dinosaurs show, I ordered it then because it came up as a new reprint, It took nearly a year until I haven't read it yet. I'll be reading it in the next couple of weeks.
I'd actually love to get a nice hard copy of that, because apart from some digital files I have, I don't think I've ever had an actual physical
Yeah, I've read
copy
some
of
of these
those old
tops
ones.
ones on a torrent thing. I've read some of the tops ones, and they were pretty good. I thought, oh, they won't be that great, but they're actually pretty good. Like Tops did. I mean, Tops did a lot of licensed stuff the way IDW and Dark Horse does, and they actually did pretty good quality work. So some other dinosaur stuff, which doesn't immediately come to my mind because I was never a Power Rangers fan, but obviously Power Rangers was massively big in the second half of the 90s. And it was an older show, rebranded, recut, edited, dubbed, whatever. But obviously we had the toys everywhere in this decade, and we had dinosaurs as well as a saber-toothed tiger and mastodon looking thing.
Yeah, well, Power Rangers, it kind of ticked 2 boxes for me for stuff I liked, because it reminded me of Transformers, and then of course you've got the Dinobot aspect as well. So it was like combining
giant
Dinobots,
robots, transforming robots, kung fu karate, kind of like superheroes, and then dinosaur Paleolithic animals or whatever.
And be honest with you, and obviously I can't speak for everybody, but I think as Power Rangers moved away from the kind of dinosaurs and prehistoric or mythological creatures and started becoming, Power Rangers Space or Power Rangers Zeo and all this stuff, I think that's when most people probably lost interest in it, because these things just were not as cool as dinosaurs to
Yeah,
have
for the West, it was a
your
massive,
gimmick-based stuff.
big property that they did try and do way back in the late 70s, going into the 80s, as we talked about on the GOJITRON special. We talked about Toei Marvel crossovers and stuff, and it comes up in several different books and histories of animation and toys and whatever, where Stanley tried to do a deal way back when they tried to actually do a Marvel dub of Power Rangers years before the Saban idea. So when they got around to Haim Saban doing it, he was the guy that came around later on and said, oh, we're actually going to do this. Several other people have tried to do this. It hasn't happened. I'm the one that's actually going to do it successfully. And he had the awesome deals with Shuki Levy with all the making the music and stuff for various Saban shows. So yeah, they did an awesome job. I ever saw clips. I'm coming home from school. My sister's watching the show. I didn't care. I'd see bits and pieces of it, Power Rangers, Beast Wars, whatever. And it was just like, to me, I'm like, well, it's Saved by the Bell, and then they're running around in kind of spandex gymnastic outfits. I don't know what's going on. If I'd seen the original show, which I've watched some of now in Japanese, and watching it with the original actors and the cast and the way it's cut, that show is fucking amazing. That's like better than Thunderbirds and Doctor Who on steroids. It's an amazing show. And Godzilla and all that. It's very much a super awesome tokusatsu show with amazing practical special effects all the way through, and stunts. And they're constantly doing diving rolls. You think it's impressive watching these wrestlers and they're diving through the ropes doing the rolls. You can watch the show from decades ago where they're doing that constantly on hard surfaces.
It's a weird thing, because the more I watched the show, the kind of less I liked it as a, the less I liked the idea of what it was. Whereas if I had only been maybe looking at the toys they were putting out, I was all in a way.
I never saw these robot toys. I'd seen this big Mecha Zord thing in the show, but I didn't know there was all these like dinosaur themed robots and stuff, and I didn't see them in the shops.
I do remember, I think like the movie comes out in 97. It's towards the end of the decade, and they actually have a moment in the movie where they get rid of the actual Dinosaurs and replace them with new Zords that are just like animals, like your regular animals.
Yeah.
And straight away it's just like, well, this is just not cool anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not, I want my prehistoric. And it's not like they're old dinosaurs. Look, we've got a saber-toothed tiger and the woolly mammoth, obviously, as well. But, it's prehistoric animals that are just cool.
Yeah, there's a good unique appeal for the West. Like if you look at the history of all the Power Rangers or Super Sentai shows, there's a hell of a lot of them, and there's some really good YouTube channels that do kind of like proper retrospectives on those that are a couple hours and cover like every show in brief, and that I've watched just to get an idea of the background of them, as well as stuff about sort of 70s mecha and anime and all that. And like this kind of show hit at the right time with the right kind of themes and ideas and stuff to appeal to Western audiences. And most of the other Power Rangers shows really would not appeal to a Western audience, no matter how you dubbed it or what you did with it. They're still great shows, but they're for a very different cultural audience that's watching Ultraman and Godzilla and Super Sentai dudes and Kamen Rider for decades. But like in the West, where like we get older and we keep watching this crap, and we're like, oh, wasn't it pleasing me? Why are they trying to make something for 20-year-olds? I'm like, well, because you got old. Stop grumbling. This is for the new people. In Japan, these shows change year to year, and new people are born, and people move on, and it's the next generation show year to year, and they change a lot. And Japan has made the most direct adaptations of comic books and cartoons and animation into like comic into cartoon into live action, whatever. They've made the most in the world consistently for like over 50 years. So there's like thousands of bloody things if you want to look them up. So it's just part of their culture, and it moves on no different than we're watching, I don't know, Game of Thrones and Doctor Who and whatever else is going year to year, or the wrestling that changes every year and new people start watching it. People aren't hanging on to the past. They're moving forward and just enjoying whatever the new thing is.
You look like this is definitely a very, little mark at 5 or 6 years old, the type of stuff I was.
Yeah, I just grabbed this off eBay today just for an image to illustrate the old $2 dinosaurs you can find anytime in the last 30 years.
We can see even when you look closely at some of these. First of all, we got the old style posture we were talking about earlier. It's like I'm up on my 2 legs. I might keel over if I go back anymore.
Got no articulated neck pose.
But look, we can literally see a couple of dinosaurs that should be herbivores, but they've given them like sharp teeth or whatever. And
yeah, it always makes me laugh. I see that.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I love seeing that.
It's like
they're
seeing,
just monsters.
And some of the old Godzilla films he fights at, I can never pronounce it, but like Anguirus or Anguirus, whatever the hell he is. He's like based on Ankylosaur, but it's like when you see artwork from, say, China of a tiger, based on a description of someone who's never seen a tiger in a Chinese art store. It looks really weird. It's the same thing when you see the Ankylosaurus in the early Godzilla. It's like nothing like a modern Ankylosaurus, and he's got like kind of teeth and stuff, but he looks scary. But he's an awesome designer.
And this type of stuff, it still exists. I can still go into cheap shops. I can buy a bag of rubber dinosaurs. I can buy a bag of mini dinosaurs. It never went away, a lot of this stuff.
No, this stuff, the old Rack Toy stuff's definitely stayed around. Like all the cheapies are there, and then you can walk across and see the Zero robots, see the Jurassic Park stuff. You might find a Pokemon that's like a Pokemon T-Rex with a articulated jaw. He's almost got like a little beard on there. It's just the most random toy.
He's cool. What's his name?
I have no idea. I didn't know it existed until I found it this year, because I know the original couple hundred Pokemon, but they've done so many since. It's like 800, 900 now, but they don't make toys of most of them.
Reximon.
I'm just like, yeah, the Reximon. There you go. He's been officially named. We've got Reximon, and we've got Gojitron, Gojisaur. And if you look on the side of the label here, it is an official Gojisaur, as it says on there in marker pen. So it's an official Gojisaur. It's definitely not a mass market item you can find. It's a one-of-a-kind Gojisaur. Hanging out with this dude. Don't eat me.
Oh, yeah, that's GOJIShop.com. Use the Boba Joe promo code.
Yeah, use that code. I don't know if it'll work, but just give it a go. See what happens. If your computer explodes or you start walking through walls like I'm Doom, do not blame me. Do not blame me.
Ah, yes. Good old glow in the dark.
Yeah, and there they are. I ordered these actual ones. That's from the product listing. But these they look like little jelly things you could eat and go. But they're just called Dinosaur, but it looks like Dinosaur. So you could be fooled into thinking this is something you can eat, but they glow really well. I've got my phone light and I just put it straight on them in the hallway. It's quite dark here. It's winter. And in the middle of the day with all the lights off, they were glowing just as bright as that. So you got to charge them up. And on the left, we've got that skeleton, which both you and I used to have from a certain magazine called Dinosaur or Dinosaurs magazine.
Dinosaurs, yes. Wow. So like, and that's to me another just warm, happy childhood memories. Getting that issue by issue, collecting the pieces to make that class-looking T-Rex skeleton, and of course later on they would also
The
have you
shell.
collect to create the shell. Now I actually never went that far. I only
I
got
got
as
the full
far as the
shell as well.
skeleton itself. Wow,
I don't have it now, but I
that's
had it
good.
for a long time.
Yeah, I only went as far as the skeleton,
The
but it was just
skeleton would
amazing to
glow
me.
really well. And one time a friend was over, like on a weekend, stayed for the night, and I had an old camera that had a flash on it, and the film would obviously run out, but the flash worked with the battery. And we were just mucking around in the dark, making the flash go. And I took it right up to the skeleton, which was still on my shelf, and I put it point blank, and it went flash, 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 and it glowed like 3 times brighter than what you see there. It like basically like lit up the room. It's the brightest glowing thing I've ever seen from the glow in the dark toy. It would absorb so many, what do you call it, photons or whatever from light. It would absorb so many of them, and it was just I was just amazed, and we only found it out by accident, just mucking around. And these little ones also work pretty much the same. They'll glow super bright if you get a really bright light and shine it straight on them rather than relying on the old sunlight.
No, it was insanely bright when it would glow. And you can even see in that picture that you put up here, you can kind of even see the individual like little plastic hollows in the neck that because it would
Yeah,
be glowing so bright. You can see the parts of it like that don't have the full
awesome. It's like watching that scene in
material.
Total Recall, man, where he goes through that scanner. It's like,
Yeah. And that
but I
magazine
love
in
a good
general, it
glowing
was just
toy,
a
and a
great
skeletal
magazine.
glowing toy is awesome because the way it's like a perfect silhouette puppet thing, you know.
Yeah, because I think if I had continued collecting that magazine and went on to get the actual body to go,
Yeah, it was an
I would
exterior
never
shell.
have.
The head was 2 parts, and
Yeah,
then body parts, and the tail, and they all just clipped together.
I think I would have kept it separate though, because I wouldn't want
I
to not
did.
be
You
able to
can. I had
see
them
the
on there,
skeleton.
and you could actually separate them and have them as two individual things.
Yeah,
I even
that's better,
painted
I
mine,
think.
like the shell. It was only just a generic green paint because my dad had some model paint, so I painted it all green. It already was green, but it was a generic plastic green. And I painted it a darker green. But it was an awesome toy, and so many times over the years I've seen I used to have a few different wooden skeletons too that I got for presents. You know, when you're a kid, you might get a Lego thing or a wooden skeleton thing, and you enjoy it. But then you're like, "What do I do with it now? I can't really play with it. You just put it over there and forget about it." It's like, but this glow in the dark one, I loved it for so many years, man. It was one of my favorite things I had as a kid, and I wish I still had it now. If I could buy the actual one, not a different one, but the actual one, I would happily buy again. But you can't buy it because it was a collector magazine thing. And I've seen a few different ones at the stores now that are real similar, but they're not quite right. If it
Yeah,
looks
they're
similar
not
enough,
the
I get it,
same.
but they're too different. But yeah, next
The
we've got
magazine
this image
itself,
here, the
yeah, like
actual
look at that
magazine.
beautiful artwork. That is just beautiful.
And the poor
Wow.
T-Rex, his head is midsection cut out for the old 3D glasses that were on the cover.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the funniest cover ever, the first issue, just because of how they did that gimmick with the 3D glasses being the actual
Like, why they
dinosaur
had to cut
shape.
out the artwork? Because it's on top, and it's 3D glasses like you'd get from comic books and whatever that lift off the magazine cover. Why they actually cut into his poor guts? He's leaking out his lunch.
This I this was a fantastic magazine, and I genuinely feel like I am probably going to go and try and get at least the first 12 issues of
Mm.
this.
There's a few sellers on
I-
eBay Australia's looking at that got them for a good price. So it's one of those magazines that like it was really good quality. I had about the first 30 issues. They used to come in binders too. You'd get these binders, put them in. And at some point I had them for years and years and years, and I got a bit older and I moved and whatever. At some point I got rid of it for, basically gave it away or whatever. But now I'm like, oh man, I wish I still had it.
Yeah, like so the gimmick is you get your 3D glasses with the first issue, but also as well every subsequent issue has a special 3D kind of page where you can look at these old pictures. They were usually pictures of like maybe like dinosaurs at an exhibition or something like that you could do look at the 3D picture and be wowed by that. But another cool thing they do is they kind of have these pull-out posters from time to time, depicting various dinosaurs, and some of them were just like, the artwork was really beautiful, but it was also quite graphic as well. Like, I remember one of the issues had like a kind of spread of an iguanodon being attacked by like a group of, I think they're like Deinonychus. They basically look like velociraptors, and it was a really
Yeah,
graphic
quite
image.
graphic.
Like, there's like they're like tearing into the sides of the iguanodon, and you can see like blood and stuff. It was like, wow, and like
Like
it
real
is a
like nature
magazine for
documentary
kids.
style. There's no
Yes,
punches pulled.
exactly. They don't hold back. Even this picture we can see here on the right, a little bit of it. We can see the Protoceratops wrestling with the raptor. It's,
He's not going
I
for a 3
believe,
count, I can tell you.
yeah, he's. I think that's like an artistic depiction of that kind of famous skeleton or fossil that was found with the two dinosaurs fighting each other. And then I think that's what that particular part of the issue was dedicated to. It was a really fantastic magazine for just like educating you. And because of when it came out, like it might have even been pre-Jurassic Park, but because of the style of it, it's not that type of modernized depiction of the dinosaurs. Like, a lot of the artwork is still that kind of old school 70s, 80s way of drawing dinosaurs, but it's just really beautiful and just
Yeah, it
really
was really beautiful.
colorful. And
It had good looking reptile textures and all that. Their skins and that were very nice.
I'm just looking here at the small print, the Orbis collection. I'm going to
So it's
definitely look it
1992
up.
was the first issue. You can actually see, if anyone wants to see a digital version of the first issue, it don't cost you nothing. Just look up Dinosaurs magazine and archived.org. Actually, I'll chuck this on the show description if you look it up. The first issue is actually on archive.org. So it was 1992. You can actually see the complete first issue on there. Probably other ones, but the first one's definitely on there.
Yeah, I'd definitely be keen to get a few issues of this, just to even flick through and admire the beautiful artwork, because it is really, it's from a bygone time. I have a lot of time for that
I'm just
magazine.
going to share screen from the archive, and it shows the clip-on model kit overlay shell, which was not painted like that. That's like a mock-up would have done. It comes in just a plain green, but you can see all the skeleton bits there, and you can see on the bottom left the binders.
Beautiful. I love that depiction of the T-Rex there as well, running along.
But yeah, I'll chuck that in the show description anyhow later on. So if anyone wants to see the first issue of that awesome magazine, it was quite spectacular.
And a little bit later on, I want to say maybe like a year or two later, they released a sequel magazine to it just called Bugs, which is the exact same premise.
That was for Japan. I think they're not going to sell that to me.
Yeah. You just collected like a big glow in the dark bug that you'd put together, and also it came with 3D glasses for you to look at various
I don't think I ever saw
pictures and stuff. Yeah, not as popular clearly because it wasn't.
You could have done like megalithic flora and fauna, and I probably would have got the first issue and then gone, nah, that's enough for me. It's like,
of course, The Land Before Time, childhood trauma-inducing film. I love it though. I absolutely love it.
That came out very late 80s, but then it had a whole bunch of sequels through the 90s and even beyond that. But the first one's still the best one. Still an excellent film.
This We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. I haven't watched this. Have you watched this?
No, I've not watched it yet. This was 1992, and it's if very beautiful, rich, full cell animation, very high budget film. Was I don't know what it cost, but when you see it, you can see the money went into this film. So I'm going to watch that this week actually, because I've never seen it, and it was one of those films that didn't appeal to me back then, because it's like, well, it's dinosaurs, but they're in bloody, I don't know, it looks like New York Metropolis or some bullshit. It's obviously meant to be a kid's film, but it's a very beautiful, beautiful, well animated film before we got to the whole CG era. So it's worth a look.
And you know, we're talking about all these dinosaur
and
phenomena.
Spielberg is a producer, which I didn't even know.
We've possibly forgotten to mention maybe the biggest 90s dinosaur phenomenon of all, Barney the dinosaur. Was Barney in the 90s?
We haven't completely forgotten him, but if he's there he is, up the top right of the screen.
Yes, yeah, there you
There's
go.
also some dino babies on Newman's arm there.
Yeah. We left no stone unturned, clearly, or at least Johnny did when he was doing the putting
And
these
that's the
slides
dino
together.
nautas on the table. They're the like Mexican or South American equivalents of dinosaurs. I remember a very popular meme image that went around in our IT class, which would have been 94, 95, was a picture of Barney the dinosaur, and it basically his head was like decapitated, just like MS Paint, blood going everywhere. Everyone loved that. That was sitting around 5 minutes around the whole class on like all 30 computers.
Little Dennis Nedry here, delighted with his bag full of money he's going to get for
I
delivering
love
those
his
embryos.
expressions, man. Old Wayne Knight, like he just cracks me up. And obviously he's not Newman in Jurassic Park, but when he's doing that expression, I'm sorry, but he's Newman. He's doing that like he's doing that like giggle, like that bloody Looney Tunes giggle.
Yeah, Dodson, we got Dodson here. It's just a great scene, and you know, once again, I'm going to plug our Jurassic Park. We not only have we looked at our Jurassic Park toys and stuff, but we've done an actual blow by blow look at the original Jurassic Park movie, which I would highly recommend anybody to go back and watch if you haven't watched or listened to it already. But I am
Pilfered
curious
my Jurassic
myself.
Park visual history book and illegally photographed images out and put them in the show because there was really cool stuff in there.
I am going to put that We're Back to on my list of stuff to watch in the short term. It's
if you just like good quality, proper cell animation, and you like dinosaurs, it's win-win.
And before the show, I was also recommending to Johnny that he should watch Disney's Dinosaur. I thought that was a good one.
I'm going to check that one
he
out.
might like
I didn't know it existed until I was looking up stuff for this week's show, just looking up everything dinosaurs from the 90s. And of course, that I repurposed that Jurassic Park magazine picture from our Jurassic Park episode from last year because I had that actual magazine with the pull-out posters. It was double-sided. You had the big T-Rex face on one side. I think the other side was the Triceratops image. I'm pretty sure you flip it but then rotate it. And once a year or so, I'd turn it over and have it on my wall. It was a good magazine. It was budget price. I think, what does it say? Like $5 or something. And it listened cheap anyhow. And it had lots of really good high quality glossy images from the stills from the movie and that. So I loved it. I had these badges too. You know, badges with a pin you put on a shirt. I had a whole pile of Jurassic Park badges. And being such a nerd, I bought them because they had all the logos, not just the Jurassic Park logo. It had like Velociraptor and this and that. And then it had stuff like Isla Nebula and stuff you would see in the background in the film as little logos and these badges. And I bought them because they were just a budget price thing. Never wore them. I just put them on a little thing and put them on the wall. Had them for years and years and years. Just like about 2 years ago, I finally moved them on. I sold them off very cheap just to another collector in Australia who was into Jurassic Park stuff. And he was quite happy to get him because he was about my age. He's like, oh, this is like vintage Jurassic Park stuff, and it's in perfect condition. There was no rust or nothing on them. So we had more spin-off stuff with the sequels, of course, The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. We got a lot more toys, and you can really kind of see the what do you call it? The whole line sort of coming together. This range here, and the vehicles and the dudes with the crazy trapping stuff, which is not unlike the kind of aliens vehicles with the trapping aliens and nets.
Yeah, these are you took the words right out of my mouth there. You got that. It's like that Tanner run of toys where you've got these, like, they're all in the same scale. They all come with crazy gimmicky weapons, but they're just great toys. Like, I'm looking at that.
You can have your
Dino
Star Wars,
Damage
your
Medical
Jurassic,
Center.
like some dinosaurs, your bloody aliens, predator, whatever. You can put all that stuff together. It doesn't belong to you, but as far as the scale and the vehicles, you could mix and match whatever the hell you want. It's awesome.
I would love to get my hands on some of these vintage vehicles, like that Humvee capture vehicle and the Net Trapper off-road. I have a modern Mattel version of the Net Trapper, but I'd love to get that vintage one.
I like the Parasaurolophus.
Pretty penny though.
Yeah,
man, the dinosaur. I have to say, once again, they really hit it out of the park with these dinosaur designs. Some of them were repaints from the previous Jurassic Park line, and then others were kind of brand new tooling. But like that the Bull T-Rex is a brand new sculpt. It's not just the
Yeah,
Red
that's
Rex
beautiful.
repainted.
It's got a nice big belly on them.
Yeah.
And I, for one, approve of these Jurassic Park toys. They're fantastic. I'm going to fly off now to my mates.
Yeah, and it's obviously Lost World. It didn't have quite the cultural impact that the first film did, but
I didn't see that.
toys
The
were a
first film
hit.
I saw twice in the cinema, as I've mentioned, like probably 50 times by now. So you and anyone cares to listen. But the sequels I never saw in the cinema. I don't know why. I didn't remember what years they came out. I was aware they existed, but I was just not going to the cinema at that point. I was probably spending all my money at comic shop by that point. I didn't see them until post year 2000 on DVD releases. When I finally got to see them, I was like, I don't even care. But then I watched them and went, these are really fun. I love these.
Yeah, I think and like a lot of the stuff we cover as well, at some point we should probably do a dedicated episode to the Lost World and Jurassic Park.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll circle back around to it for sure.
Because there's something, especially the Lost World. There was versions of that movie that could have been made, and there was lots of stuff left on the cutting room floor and stuff. It's definitely an interesting movie that could have turned out a bit differently had Spielberg made some different decisions. So it could be an interesting future topic for one of our shows.
Oh, definitely, for sure. It's definitely on the list to do. I had the DVDs for years and the rental, whatever. Only in the last 2 years, I got the Blu-ray version. Nice set. It's got the first 4 films and some other ones. And now, any time on the weekend, if I want to, I can sit down and just go Jurassic Park marathon back to back. And I've done that several times. I've done Mad Max marathons. I've done Friday the 13th or Nightmare marathons. I've done Jurassic Park marathons. I can happily sit there and watch like 4 or 5 in a row for the entire day. I don't care. I'll just watch them. I love it.
Yeah, they're easy watching. I often the original trilogy, at least, I'll often rewatch over and over again.
And even
like
when you're going, this is not so good, it's still fun in the way like watching those old Harryhausen movies and that. It's still, although they're very different in the style and more modern, it's still like this is a bunch of cool monsters running around, running amok, and it's terribly good fun.
Yeah, causing chaos and looking great as well. That's the other thing about it. Like this is still in the era where we are mixing both practical effects and CGI. We're not just going all CGI, so we still get
that
lots
was
of
practical
really nice
Triceratops poop that they scooped up in a TARDIS via Doctor Who and brought to the modern day to get the full practical effect of that.
These days, you just have an AI NFT piece of poo.
Yes.
Not the same.
Oh my God. I can't believe how many companies in the last 12 months, like big companies like Hasbro Mattel companies, been caught out doing some like AI poster or box art or something. I'm like, it's just garbage. It's not real. It's garbage bullshit.
It's not
this
real,
isn't
like
AI. This is just clip art where I've just got PNG images and put them on there.
No, this isn't clip art. This is an actual photograph of this, exactly what happened during.
This is a real life thing that happened. And unfortunately, why the real reason, like the real conspiratorial knowledge you want to know about Jurassic Park, Newman, Dennis Nedry, toy scalper. That's what busted up the theme shop, led to this chain reaction. The power went off because they weren't making any money, and then all the dinosaurs got out.
On a totally unrelated note, but just because it popped into my head, I was watching a YouTube video recently. Apparently, there is a new, like, it's like a small studio independent video game where they've essentially made a survival horror game based off Jurassic Park. It's not Dino Crisis because it's not licensed, but you're essentially running down, I think it's called like Prehistoric Park or something like that, and you're running around
Cool.
an island fighting dinosaurs and trying to survive. So I must actually check out. I think there's a demo of it out at the moment. And then, of course,
first Dino Crisis I found kind of boring, but the second one was like just like balls to the wall action and twin Uzi, so you're getting combo shooting dinosaurs.
Yeah, I think with the first Dino Crisis, which is probably appropriate to talk about anyway because of the year it came out and what we're talking about today.
Yeah, we'll probably do another Dino spin-off on dinosaur video games because there's just too many to try and get into in this one.
Like the first Dino Crisis was very puzzle heavy, with some dinosaurs.
Yeah, it was like Resident Evil
Whereas,
1. It was slow and clunky,
yeah,
but it had some 3D stuff in it, not just the pre-rendered, but it had some 3D stuff moving around camera and that. And it was just very slow and very Friday the 13th and horror themed.
whereas the second one, it's just balls to the wall action and tons of
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
Like Resident Evil 1, the dogs busted through the window. Dino Crisis is a fucking T-Rex busting through the head through the wall trying to get you.
Yeah. Yeah, Nedry though, he's got a bag filled with dirty money he's got from overcharging for these toys.
It's definitely overcharging. He's nice and clean shaven though, thanks to that canisters he's got. Down the old shaving cream.
Dodson wants him to fleece that gift shop, and then they're going to sell everything for triple the price.
That's right. So another show we had in the 90s was Dinosaurs, which, like, if you just Google dinosaur or dinosaurs, there's so many things that just have that name as a brand. It's ridiculous. Go on like action figure checklist. How many dinosaur things, man? It's like 20 or 30 different ways.
Yeah. What name will really stand out for this dinosaur show? Oh, let's call it Dinosaurs.
I know, we'll call it Dinosaurs.
Fantastic.
We won't call it Big Daddy Earl's Fun Adventures or something, or Big Earl's House.
This is one of these things that kind of gets memory hold because, you know, it was around, did a few seasons, it was popular.
It was very popular. It was like Family Matters meets Home Improvement, but it's dinosaurs. Or, well, it's also like the Flintstones. It's very much like the Flintstones or the old Honeymooners, but dinosaurs.
And it's funny, and a good chunk of it is up on YouTube as well. People have kind of ripped it and uploaded it.
I remember watching it as a teenager and enjoying it, but I don't think I could watch it now. Even though it's got great Jim Henson puppetry, the writing is just kind of real middle of the road. It's like you watch it with your family, and it's like 6:37 p.m. and we're having dinner, and then 5 minutes later you forget about it.
Yeah. It does have a cool actual season or series finale where it actually ends with the extinction of the dinosaurs, which is a pretty cool way to end the show. Some merch.
I had that BP Richfield Styracosaurus because my sister had that, and you've heard of hand-me-downs. That's when you've got a thing, clothing, toy goes to your younger sibling. This was a hand-me-up, and I've actually had a few of those as an adult nerd. I've got a Dragon Ball Z Dern from my brother, who's 10, 12 years younger than me. When he had enough, I'm having that. And that Styracosaurus, I had that from my sister. She didn't grew out of it. I went, I'll have that. It's not going in the garage sale to the op shop. I'll be keeping that. Had it for quite a while, but eventually I moved it on to someone else.
You're getting some bonus toys kicked up to you there, being the older sibling, you know?
Yeah.
Shit doesn't always have to roll downhill.
Yeah, I remember another hand-me-up was Aussie film about the bloody World War One. I forget which because there's like 2 or 3 different ones. One of them, my brother had to get it for that in the high school in English. So they had to watch a film and do an essay or whatever. And he had, I think it was Breaking Morat, and he had all this stuff in his closet. And he was the year before he moved out at home. And he was getting rid of stuff, and I was just helping him tidy up his room. I'm like, what's this? And it's like Breaking Morat. He's like, oh, it's right about the bloody English. I'm never watching that again. What do you mean you're watching it again? You don't want it? And he goes, no. I said, that's mine. Bye. It's only a $10 DVD you can get all day, but it's a classic Aussie film, which we'll probably talk about maybe next year. We'll circle back around to like Anzac stuff. But yeah, Dinosaurs was a really well-made show. Enjoyed it then. Don't care to rewatch it now. It does have some okay PVC vinyl type toys and stuff if you're interested in any of those. They're decent looking if you like the characters and that.
He scores. My beloved Transformers, what have you done to them?
What have you done? Got a whole bloody shelf of them over there now. I never used to care for the show, and I saw random episodes after school. My sister would be watching it. She'd be watching stuff. She was actually into it. She didn't care about Transformers. It's just like the after school thing you watch, you know. At the time was the zeitgeist, like Power Rangers, and it was Beast Wars. That Reboot was another one, of course. Mainframe Entertainment, same company did animation. But in the last few years, I've watched a complete run of Beast Wars and Beast Machines, which is all one continuing story. It's actually a really brilliant show. And started argument by argument. possibly the best written Transformers piece of media in any form ever. Movie, film, comic, TV, animation, best written thing. And I'm not really a Beast Wars fan. I'm a hardcore G1 fan, but I would say legitimately, if you watch it all the way through, it's got some really fantastic writing in it.
Well, the thing about Beast Wars is, if you are a hardcore G1 fan, it does give you a lot of nice G1
Oh, truck not
lore.
monkey. That's what they used to say on those forums.
Yeah, and there's you got Starscream's ghost still running around. Like, there's lots of G1 connections. It's
Which
it's
weren't there to
obviously
start
like,
with. It was deliberately entirely separate, but later on they added that stuff in.
but then of course, yeah, it's Beast Wars, so it's not obviously just like, we're not just seeing dinosaurs; it's all animals. But of course, Megatron being the big purple T-Rex was definitely yeah, big
And
feature of the
that's the
show.
reissue one, but that's my actual reissue one. I pinched this rather than stealing images from eBay for a change. I stole this from my own blog where I put this up several years ago.
Great wee toy. Did you ever get the kind of remastered, what is it, like Transformers Kingdom or whatever it was called, the kind of
Yeah,
new
he's just
version
over
of
here.
it?
He's on my shelf right next to me. He's there.
Yeah.
So I got both. Actually, I kept. I did end up selling this guy again because I've got the Kingdom one I really liked. I've got the repaint where he's the brown one that looks like and I put him with my Jurassic Park toys. And then I've got the bloody, I don't know, I've got a whole shelf of Beast Wars. I kept the Primal reissue because he was really nice. I just thought he was a better overall toy. Whereas the Megatron toy was a nice one, but since I had the Kingdom one, I was like, I didn't need both. But the Primal one was quite a lot different, that I kept both versions of him. But this is the Hasbro reissue from a few years back where it's got Kenner on the box, but it's actually a Hasbro published toy.
Well, it was definitely a wise decision on the Beast Wars creators' part to include dinosaur characters as part of the lineup. I know we'll get a few like wacky dragon characters
That's
and
the
stuff
reissue
later
Rashi
on.
from the same wave. He's still on there.
Yeah, if you can work in some prehistoric creatures somehow onto your into your lineup.
The big storyline in the first season, of course, was I forgot his bloody name now. The Raptor guy. It's like the Raptor guy who's on the was it Maximals Predacons? Yeah, Predacons was the bad guy, isn't it? The Raptor dude, he was a bad guy in that season, and then he defected and went over to the Maximals, the good guys. That was like the story arc in the first season. So you had two major dinosaur characters, plus you had the Pteranodon or Pterodactyl, whichever. I always confuse the two. That guy who was always exploding into parts in every other episode.
It's been many years. I do still plan on going back and rewatching it at some point as a series.
Most of it's on YouTube these days. You can buy it. There's the official Hasbro channel, I think has most of them. There's another channel that has a 4K upscale where the show looks absolutely amazing. And I used to have a dodgy digital version of the original one. I replaced it with 4K one, and someone had on their channel while it was there, because who knows, they'll take it down. It looks amazing. They've just upscaled it, just like the quality looks like something that's been made now. It's just wow.
Yeah, I must actually check that out. If I am going to watch it, I may as well watch it in the hippie top.
If it's not on the YouTube anymore, just hit me up and I'll send you a psychic message that you can see without me saying all the things on the stream. So also in the 90s, they snuck in some G2 Dinobots. And for persnickety fans, they might go, hang on, they didn't do that swoop and Grimlock. No, but they did prototypes, and that's a fan custom where they've repainted it. But so they did exist.
I got excited there. Well, look, I have they didn't do them in those exact colors, but I can tell you now, all I have to do is look over here. I have my blue Grimlock, my red Snarl, and my green Slag sitting over there with my G2 Transformers.
And they had the catalog images, like we were seeing Hasbro old catalog stuff, the Tiger Stripe Grimlock, which they did in the Studio Series 86 repaint or Kingdom repaint, whatever, the big leader one they did, and it sat on shelves and nobody bought it. It's like 20, 30 years too late.
Yeah, there was a reason it didn't get released to begin with, possibly,
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, if they've done it as a reissue, as the original mold reissued rather than as the modern leader toy at a good price point, I think people probably would have bought it, but they don't really do their old Dinobots because they don't have the bloody molds anymore.
Well, it was always a little bit of a head scratcher to me that we only got the 3 Dinobots. We never got the full 5 for G2.
Yeah, it was a bit dodgy. Here's a clue, Hasbro. Don't take some of your most popular robot transforming things and on-sell them molds to China, who will then bootleg the hell out of them. Don't do that. It's bad business.
Oh, I will always look at my G2 Dinobots fondly. They're quite possibly my favorite G2 repaints of all the repaints they did for G2. And they're just, they have to keep that Dinomania alive somehow in the line. You know, you gotta keep it in there, especially in the 90s.
There's been all sorts of homages to these ones that have just the generic plastic color, but they don't have any of the cool gold and silver chrome, so they don't look as good when it's just plain plastic. So another toy line we got right towards the end of the 90s from Bandai was Dinosaurs, like Z-A-U-R-S as opposed to S-A-U-R-S. And these were transforming dinosaur robots, very much in the Beast Wars style, with kind of like smooth, organic-looking parts, like your Optimus Primal and Megatron and that. And also they had this, I don't know if, I've never owned any of these. I don't know if it's actual chrome or just metallic paint, but they had that chrome look to them. And then you've got transparent plastic as well. So it has all sorts of gimmicks and features.
Yeah, it looks like first of all, I've never even held one of these. I don't think I've ever even seen one in real life. So it looks like the type of thing, though, if it's not kind of well constructed, I could see that these maybe broke apart, especially with transparent plastic. If you're
really likely,
yeah. Then again, it's a Bandai product back then, so it was probably well made.
Japanese Bandai, not American Bandai, which make trash, but Japan Bandai make quality stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even ever laid eyes on these. I think this is my first time.
No, well, I think they were a Japanese line, and I don't know. I couldn't tell you what came out in America back then, if they, you know, if they did get released in limited quantities or import or comic shops. So I've got no idea. I just know it exists, and they're dinosaurs, and they're transforming, so they go in there. So another one we got was Torque Dinosaur Hunter toy line, which tied in, I guess, with the video games, but we had the comic, but the comic was, the relaunch comic, was not popular, not by any metrics of the day compared to Marvel and DC. The Valiant and Acclaim are very small numbers. But so I assume the toy line was tying in mainly with the video games because they sold and were much more well-known and popular. And this is by Playmates, who made the old Ninja Turtles, Earthworm Jim, Toxic Crusaders. I never saw any of these toys, ever.
Yeah. Didn't even know they existed until we actually looked. Before we started the show today, you were running through the slides, and you showed me this. I was like, what the fuck? There was Turok toys?
Yeah, the human figures are meh, but the dinosaurs look amazing.
See, you've blown my mind now twice with 2 Turok facts today, Johnny. First is the Turok source material, and now the second is the existence of these Turok toys.
Well, I knew the comic stuff because I've always been a comics geek. You know, reading old magazines and comic scene wizards. So you'd hear about old stuff like bloody Shadow and the Phantom and all them dudes. And so I was aware Torque was an old character that got relaunched in the 90s. But yeah, these toy lines, never saw them. There's a whole bunch of them that look quite cool. Fairly pricey to get. Like even on eBay, I couldn't see any cheap ones. They're all fairly pricey. So I'm guessing limited numbers or didn't sell well based on how expensive they are today, because not a lot of people I think are going after these, so the prices say to me that it didn't do too well, but the sculpts are awesome.
Yeah, it looks nice, especially for the time. The dinosaur obviously is the main event of this.
This one looks like he's cosplaying as Torque himself because he's got the chest thing on. It's quite strange. The other ones aren't doing that. But this was the best images I could find. I did see some images of the other toys, but not, there's like a Triceratops and a T-Rex and another dude there. It looks like it says Spinosaurus, but he's standing quite upright. But I couldn't find any like good quality images of them.
Eyeball Spinosaurus, interesting.
Yeah, it even says on there the newest Torque Joshua Fire Seed. So that's definitely like your N64 sort of Torque relaunch dude, the young guy with the shorter hair. So then year 2000, which is getting to the end, of course, of the 90s, was we had Walt Disney's Dinosaur. Like not a helpful term if you're trying to look up dinosaur things now and finding distinct over 100 different bloody products from this decade. So I didn't know this one existed. I have not seen this film, and I didn't know this toy line existed. But the sculpts are by Mattel, who we know very well from doing our modern day Jurassic Park stuff, and they're quite beautiful. There's quite a range of these things, fairly pricey, but I had to look at quite a few of them, and the sculpts are like really beautiful, and you can kind of see. I mean, I'm guessing that the different employees from the year 2000 to now, 25 years later, but maybe there's some people still there from back then, because like just the quality of how these guys look from this stuff to what we see on the shelf now is kind of comparable.
I think you'll enjoy watching it. There's elements of it that will remind you of the original Land Before Time, and I think you'll just be able to get into it.
Yeah, the decade's kind of punctuated by 4 dinosaur films. You got, before we get to the 90s, you got Land Before Time. Then we get in there 92 with We're Back Dinosaurs. Middle of the decade, we've got Jurassic Park, not to mention sequels. End of the decade, we've got Dinosaur. So the films kind of really punctuate this whole era of this dinosaur mania in media.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend it. Now, it's still probably been about 10 or 15 years even since I watched it, but I still remember the last time watching it that it was still an enjoyable movie. Not like quite on the level of The Land Before Time, but you know, maybe only a notch below it in terms of quality.
Well, I clicked an unmentionable thing, and I might be watching this a little bit later between you and me.
For educational purposes only.
Educational purposes.
It's legal.
Yes. I mean, if I can find a physical version, I'll certainly pick it up. I probably should get a DVD of Land Before Time. It's one of those movies, never owned it. I've seen it so many bloody times as a kid, and then my sister was watching it. And you know how younger kids watch stuff and repeat over and over again at a certain age? It drives you bananas. And I'm like, I never want to see the bloody Land Before Time ever again. But now I'm like, I should probably get the DVD while it's still around. But yeah, going back to the old rack toys then and now, this is stuff that's on Amazon like right now. It's like, and it doesn't look a whole lot different than stuff you'd be seeing back then. You got big squishy vinyls. Those ones are quite big. They're like this sort of size. I've seen ones like this in some of the stores here. You get dinosaur eggs, dinosaur slot cars, dinosaur trains, dinosaur blocks, dinosaur storage cell, big shell head next to that little baby with the beanie on. And at the very top left, there's quite a few of these dinosaur RC robots, some of which are really cheap on eBay, like $20, like big as your Jurassic Park T-Rex, but it races around on wheels with a crappy little control. And I'm very tempted to pick up a couple of these and maybe just kind of film them racing around and smashing into each other. Or maybe Pedro will be
see how long they actually last. I imagine it's the type of thing where like
imagine the quality shit, but when it breaks, I could still put it on the shelf as a toy.
Some of these, like some of these could have been around since the 60s. It's the type of thing where, like, you know, it will survive just being, they'll survive being thrown around by toddlers. You know, they can take being kicked and bitten and all that good stuff that kids like to do with their toys.
Actually, there's another toy line I didn't mention in the show that was around in the 80s and 90s, and it's still around Zoids that had quite a few dinosaurs, and it was very fantasy oriented with its different you got insect stuff, you got tigers and Paleolithic animals and mammals, and then you got dinosaur stuff as well. Like you got like Dinosaur and crazy stuff like that.
We could do a spin-off show someday of just robotic dinosaurs.
Yeah, easily robot dinosaur, Mechagodzilla, Triptychon, Zoids. It's like
plenty to choose from.
But yeah, I do have a love for this like chintzy, cheap stuff. And now and then I will just randomly go online and Amazon, just type in dinosaurs and see what crap comes up. And just look through like the wacky, and some of it's really quite imaginative. I love the big storage shell that's just a big kind of T-Rex head, so you can store all your smaller $2 dinosaurs inside it. Or small child had enough of them, put them inside the storage head. Buy small child till later on.
T-Rex head's going to eat you now.
Yeah, it's actually called child abuse. Don't do that. That's a joke.
Don't feed your kids to the dinosaurs, folks.
Yeah, but rounding up the last in quarter of the show, getting into the sciencey stuff, the real world stuff. We've got some skeletons. I don't know where this one's from. It was just a random image I found. It was very nice of a Triceratops skeleton, looking quite strutting out there, like disco style, looking strutting and popping and locking. Quite beautiful. I remember as a kid looking at books. I'd be looking at these books like, oh, wow, dinosaur skeletons. There's none of these in New Zealand. Bugger. Can't go see none of them. Where would I see them? America, UK. That was basically, they were like the, had the corner of the market on like complete skeletons or near complete skeletons, whatever. Not to mention misassembled bloody skeletons. They figured out, whoops, we've mixed 2 or 3 dinosaurs together. Always wanted to see some skeletons as a kid. There was none to be seen in New Zealand. I think they had some in Australia, but I was over in 1994. I actually saw some at the Melbourne Museum. It was quite cool. But before we get into them ones, just quick mention, Walking the Dinosaurs was a show, long-running show now, that actually kicked off in the 90s and was kind of early CG kind of show. Did the Richard Attenborough Tigers on Safari nature documentary, Fly on the Wall style, but with dinosaurs. Imagining what if we went back and we were just sitting back with our camera observing their behavior and what they're doing. Really fantastic show. And they're taking guesses, of course, of what was going on, but it's very science-based and very naturalistic and a pretty groundbreaking show, not just in animation, but in taking what were these static fossils and footprints and skeletons and turning them into moving, living, breathing creatures that were beyond just the Jurassic Park updated Jaws terror sort of movie, and making them into like relatable creatures or animals to see like how might they've lived and how do they move around. And don't forget, back then, like, they were big, but the plants were big and the atmosphere and the nitrogen mix and all this was different as well. You know, the world was a different place.
Yeah, Walking with Dinosaurs is a phenomenal series, and it actually ended up spawning a ton of spin-offs. Just like, I think there's like Walking with Beasts and Walking with or Swimming with Sea Monsters and stuff like that. There's
I'm not going to be doing any of that. I'm staying right out of that ocean, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, the same guys went and just did a whole load of prehistoric themed, you know, stuff. And yeah, no, the show was really, really good. I still have my BBC DVD of the original Walking with Dinosaurs series. Great show.
The BBC does not recommend swimming with sea monsters or Loch Ness monsters.
Yes. You may watch other people do it, but never participate in the activity yourself.
If Logan Paul wants to do it, go right ahead. I'll watch it on YouTube, but don't ask me to get in there swim with prehistoric sea monsters, man. Get out of town. Kraken, get out of it. Back in Christchurch, New Zealand, where I grew up, at the Science Alive exhibit, which was the ongoing exhibit, which was in the old railway station building on Morehouse Avenue, big long-ass road ran right through the middle of town and up the side from one end. It went all the way from our suburbs all the way to like multiple other suburbs, big, massive, long main road. They had the Hoytsate Cinema was one side of the old train station building, and on the other side was kind of empty for a long time. Then they had Science Alive, and there was all this promotion, advertising. They had Science Alive exhibits that have shit like, you know, those balls with the electricity, and you touch it and the thing like goes to your hand and all your hair might stand up. Or if you've got alcohol gel on your hands, you might spontaneously combust. That's happened to an unfortunate young gentleman in Australia in the last 2 years. So don't do that combo. But yeah, stuff like that. Or you'd get the magnets in a like kind of wall tube, and they've got reverse polarity where they're just floating in the air, and you could push them down and they would bounce up. Or you might get some I don't know, kind of sherbet sand sort of stuff to mess around with. All interactive fun stuff. Ran for a number of years. Was all exciting. You're like, wow, Science Live, this is cool. Go in the first year when you're a kid with your parents. Next year, it's the same old shit. Who cares? I don't want to go to that. Or if I go to the cinema, Jurassic Park. But then the following year, they had these mechanical dinosaurs, and they were called, I can't remember what they're called. I think they might have called them Dinosaurs Alive because it was Science Alive, whatever the hell it was. But these were, I assume, hydraulics, but they're metal skeletons with a fake, presumably vinyl rubber type skin on them, like model making kind of stuff. And they would kind of go back and forth like this, or they might tilt their head or open the mouth, or they might do a cheap like, or there might be a little bit of steam or smoke or something. But they were pretty awesome. it was the first like sort of mechanical dinosaurs that were aiming at some realism. They look a bit cartoony here, but in person they actually looked quite cool. This is from someone's camera who posted these in a public group on Facebook. I don't know them, but it was a public group, so I'm not like stealing their photos. I'm not going to name them, of course, I don't know them personally. But I was very fortunate to find these because I have vivid memories of going there. Never had any photos myself. Didn't have a camera back then. Pretty awesome to just Google this and find these images today to find it. Someone actually had uploaded photos that were still around and could find them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, because over here, I do remember Dublin Zoo, early 90s, they had what I think they just might have called it the dinosaur exhibition, but it was the exact same idea where
they've got one on
you
right
had
now
these-
in Perth like this with more fancier looking shit.
Yeah, just these kind of mechanical dinosaurs with limited movement. But the cool thing was because they were like full size, it kind of blew your mind as a kid, just even the scale
It's
of
like
what you
seeing
were looking
model
at.
kits made into full size scale. I saw another
Yeah.
exhibit about 15 years ago in New Zealand, Warbirds over Wanaka, done by Peter Jackson's Weta Studios. Full size fucking like World War I, World War II, like biplanes and shit. Like one's like crashed into a tree, and it's an actual plane, not just a model. It's a real bloody plane, but the tree's obviously fake. And it was like it was literally a 1-to-1 scale bloody model size miniature thing. Because then they had dummies dressed up in like actual uniforms, but it was just like a store dummy with a bit of face on it. Looked a bit shit, but it was real uniforms, real badges, insignias, actual like rifles and shit. And then the real plane crashed into a fucking tree, and you're looking at this massive and go, wow, this is like mind blowing. That was the best thing I've seen other than these mechanical dinosaurs.
That's cool. No, yeah, I do remember being kind of awestruck by them as a youngster. I'm sure they're still popular enough, like you said, if they're still kind of doing stuff like it these days. So
well, they've done them like every 5-10 years. There's been more like this, and they kind of update and do slightly better ones. There's one on Perth right now, and I was actually excited to go, but I hate the city's over an hour travel on the bus, and then you go in there. I don't even want to go with, and I don't like 20 years ago, I lived in the city and I walked through there every day for over 2 years. And eventually I just went, I had enough of walking through here. I don't want to do it again. And if I had someone to go with, I'd go hang out. But I don't want to go as a solo adult nerd who's not there with the kid and you're not there with your wife. And I'm like, I don't want to hang around and be a weirdo. Someone think I'm a perv or something with kids, I just get paranoid. I'm like, I don't want to be there without someone with me. It's a bit weird. But as I was Googling around for different images, similar exhibit, also from, as far as I can tell, from the 90s, one of my search terms, Dinosaurs Live, Silver Springs. I don't know where that is. It's America, obviously, but if you want to tell me where, post a comment. And it's got Dynamations, D-I-N-A. And there was someone's kid in there that I've digitally removed for privacy reasons. So we're not showing someone's kid. But this, again, was posted in a public group. These are more vintage photos, as you can tell from the kind of image quality. And I don't know if these ones actually, I assume they move, that they're mechanical as well. But these ones have got quite nice faces and skin textures on. Very awesome to look at. Triceratops. And I love that they do, again, going back to model making miniatures, because I've never been into it, but I had several mates who have and grown up around that sort of stuff. Not to mention my dad did stuff like that, as well as work on actual cars and build actual things. Like fiberglass and that. I love that they've got the ground in here, like textured ground. They've got some actual sand and soil. You got some plants with a real fake. Then you got a background, and it's very much like watching Jurassic Park. You think like, oh, there's a dinosaur. There's the background in the exhibit or the museum or the foyer kiosk and all that with the paintings and pictures. It's really like a whole history of history, like real dinosaurs. Yeah. Fake models, model kits, movies, Harry Horser, Jurassic Parks, all this kind of stuff coming together in a beautiful way.
It's awesome. It looks like she's got a mirrored background behind her as well. I can see the kind of baby one walking and stuff. That's pretty cool.
I love that stuff. It's just beautiful. Oh, Packy. Pack it in, Packy. No, get in there and headbutt you. Whoever's trying to get your lunch, headbutt him out of there.
Fantastic detail, though. Quite lifelike. Even the eye looks very lifelike.
It does. It's beautiful. And the painted backgrounds and all that just really, bring it up. These ones here
It's
with
really nice.
got the old Boba. And even like the kind of muscle and ribs in there looks amazing.
Yeah. Really, really nicely done. I have an appreciation for that paleo artwork they've painted on the walls as well. It's really nice.
Yeah, like someone who gave a shit's like worked on that. So.
A youngling eating its greens.
Okay, so I've got to bring up the last of the images here. I think I have to cycle through these because I've got some duplicates where I have to split all my images in half. So I'll fast forward till I get back to there again. There we go. I've got another fellow there.
Raxy.
Jawsy Pawsy.
You look pissed off.
It's like, why have I got these stubby little arms?
Why have you shoved me in the corner here, down by, the vending machines?
I was reading an article earlier today about T-Rex's like jaw capacity and clamp tramp sort of things as far as bite and stuff. And then they're going on. It's like, it was one of those like, well, actually sort of articles, but it was like a science one. It was like based on modern findings. Like an actual paleontologist wrote it or whatever. And it was talking about T-Rex and then Giganotosaurus and Spinosaurus, all ones that got big jaws that like chomp on things, and saying the T-Rex actually had the most forceful, like biting through thing, whereas your Giganotosaurus, who's bigger, and Spinosaurus, who's kind of longer, but not necessarily bigger, but longer, they've had more of a slashing bite, and they said they would kind of like bite, and you would die of the cuts, not the bite. Whereas the T-Rex, he's basically jaws. He's just going to go chomp right through you,
brute force.
And the difference is that he looked at actual modern skeletons, best ones around, and made 3D model composites, and they used actual physics and simulated models and computers based on the 3D models of the jaws, showing that the T-Rex had not just the big jaw, but it was the widest skull, like actual jaws in Spielberg. Whereas the other dudes, Giganoto and Spino, they were much narrower, so their clamping capacity wasn't as much. So it was pretty awesome. It was just reading that and going, this is actually a modern new article in the last 4 weeks. There's always cool stuff coming out about dinosaurs, and people are like speculating, making up new stuff, but based on science, based on paleontology and all that.
That's the beauty of it. There'll always be more to discover.
Yes.
And there's kind of techniques.
But there's kind of a cool bit where it's like, by the way, he kind of was the apex predator we've always been led to believe in the movie. It's just like...
That's cool. Devil eyes.
Great textures.
Genuinely
on
evil.
I know he's like Torosaurus or whatever the hell he is, but the little devil horns, and beautiful.
Yeah. I wonder, did these still exist in a warehouse somewhere, or were they all like destroyed? Yeah. I'd like to think that they just moved from country to country in different little places to be displayed.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about some of these museum exhibits, is that they'll be traveling exhibits. Not unlike, they had years ago in Melbourne, they had a video game exhibit with all like retro video game consoles and arcade games, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, bloody Space Invaders, shit like that. And then they had like another year, they had Toy Story artwork from the Walt Disney Studios for the original Toy Story, like actual sketches. Another year had original Tim Burton artwork. So it was traveling exhibits. So, these dinosaur ones, a lot of them traveled around different states, different countries and whatnot. Don't know why his question mark blocked back there. If he hits his head on it.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Yeah.
Don't know. Don't know what that's doing there.
It's a mystery.
Quite beautiful. This is the Allosaurus skeleton from Christchurch, New Zealand, and they never used to have any dinosaur whatnots in the Canterbury Museum, which I've been to 200 and 500 times in 20 years I lived there. This is a replica of one from America, because I was there in person, like the month this was first there. I read the plaque, and I still remember it saying this is a replica of the one from America. And I didn't care it was a replica. I'm just like, holy shit, that's a full-size Allosaurus. I'm stood under this thing 20 or 30 times on different days and different years. And each time I was fucking amazed. And I was just like, wow. It's like, because I'd only seen little pictures and books at school. And I'm like, now here's a full size thing. It's like, look at this beast, man. Imagine this thing coming even near you or your house or anything. It's just like a moment of sheer terror, jaws on legs.
Yeah. Longer arms than the Rex as well. He could do some damage.
It was really beautiful. And just over the other side of the room, which is not in this photo, unfortunately, they had a big Triceratops skull, which I believe was also a replica, but full size. And oh my God, the skull of that Triceratops was like half the size of this entire thing. You could like, you're not supposed to climb on them, but if you did, it would be like, if I lay down sideways, like I'm 6 feet tall, and then it's about 4 feet wide. It's a tank on legs. If you get two rhinos and duct tape them together, man, that's almost a Triceratops.
I love how white the teeth are in this example here.
Yeah, like, well, they did a great job because it's a replica, but they made the bones look as if they've been aged, but then they got the teeth a certain look, so it made it stand out and give a great contrast under the overhead lighting in the room. I used to have my own photos of this, but I don't have many more from the cheap camera I used to have. And they're pretty crappy looking pictures anyway. This one I found on Google was much better than my old pictures. This is from a Melbourne exhibit, various skeletons. I've been to Melbourne in 1994 and saw the old museum dinosaur skeletons, and also took photos with my mum because they used to live over here. I'd come over from New Zealand for holidays, see my mum back then. They used to live over there. So the old Melbourne Museum got completely demolished. Took them many number of years to build an entirely new museum just next to where the old one was. Whole new building. This is that building. I did see some of these updated new exhibits about, I don't know, at least 15 years ago. So they've probably changed since then. This is a more recent image. But man, this is like the new museum, man. It's got bloody mezzanine floors and atrium bloody ceilings and all this lighting. And the whole composition of this is like so artistic and beautiful how they display them. It's just like, wow, this is like what you want in a modern museum.
This looks cool, I have to say. Really, really
There's
cool.
nothing stuffy about it. Everything's like, to me, it's perfect. It's just like such great displays. And some of these are replica stuff. Some of these are actual proper skeletons. I couldn't say which is which, but there's a mix of stuff in there.
Oh, it looks phenomenal, definitely. I just love that big diplodocus and the long neck going across the room. It looks fantastic.
That neck, man. That's like, what else is that big? Like a bloody whale. It's like,
yeah, crazy. Like absolutely
and
crazy.
This was the best stuff to see, other than traveling all the way to the old Natural History Museum in bloody UK and Americas and that. Like, and there were the only two major places in the world that had like, you know, complete skeletons in it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. It was so wonderful to see like skeletons, all replicas of skeletons. So just rounding up, finishing off the show. This is just a random picture I found on YouTube of someone showing off the old boys' toys, but showing off the playset style, mixing and matching different dinosaurs, your big doors, and all the cool stuff coming together. Because if you like your dioramas and that sort of thing, Jurassic Park then and now, good stuff to get into. It's like, and those other ones, that German company like Schley or whatever, that make all those cool miniatures and that, they make some great dinosaur stuff.
They really do. And it was actually in the 90s when I first discovered them as well. We were there used to be, it might still exist, but there used to be a franchise of stores called Early Learning Centers that basically just sold educational related kind of kids toys.
I have a duck and like I've got a couple of different dogs and stuff and things in the other room.
Yeah, just that type of but they were the first people I ever discovered the Schleich dinosaurs through. They used to stock them, and yeah, that was my introduction to them as a kiddo back in the 90s for the Early Learning Center.
Make great stuff. Like I've had random like kangaroos and koalas and all sorts of stuff. Some other, these are just like a couple of random pictures of like modern toys. And there's that Dimetrodon, the modern remake, one that's done in that kind of style. I was really happy to get him because I always loved the Dimetrodon, and I was such a nerd as a kid. I'm like, well, actually, it's technically not a dinosaur because it precedes a dinosaur. Actually, he was a reptile that came before the three major ages that we think of as dinosaur ages. But yeah, I all these big jaw guys and the great gimmicks they put on the Like I'll grab this guy again. Like this guy's got two gimmicks. He's got the flapping gimmick, so you can do that business. The wings can move and pose. And then he's got a second gimmick where he's like, well, actually, I went extinct quite a long time ago, don't you know? But then you've got all that on top of just a beautiful sculpt and great colors.
Yeah,
And the gimmick
looks
doesn't
great.
interfere with the actual toy. It still just looks like a beautiful sculpt, and it's a functional toy. So that's like Mattel just does so well with this modern stuff. And then you got the Dinosaurs, got the green one and the red one that both roar with the old rip-off T-Rex roar from Jurassic Park, and their eyes light up green. I put the green one with one of my big Kongs from Godzilla vs. Kong, and he looks really cool, like an old style looking Rex. Looks quite cool. Then we got him having a bit of a face-off with the Anchorman News team assemble. Having a bit of a face-off there between the Leonard and the Jurassic Park. But it might have been a deleted scene. That was one of my favorite photos. Anytime I've posted this on Facebook, people go nuts for this photo.
It is a great one. I love it. I have to say, I absolutely love it.
I didn't know these Anchorman figures existed, and one day I found them old stock on the site. They're about 5-6 inch, and they've got cloth clothing like Barbie dolls, like really nice tie and all that. But yeah, this one I pinched from our previous show last year when we were talking about Jurassic Park toys. That was out in the backyard in summer. Got the old Spino. I was going Jurassic Park 3 style, Jurassic Spino versus T-Rex. And they all Stegos are going, bugger this, we're out of here.
Yeah, get me the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Nice sunny
That
day.
same yard now is all completely overgrown green, but this is middle of summer. It's all dry as heck. And there's some of the old Marcosaurs.
Yeah, looking all neat and tidy there. I love that. I'll always love the Canner stuff, though. And Mattel do a fantastic job with their modern stuff, but I'll just always have that special place in my heart for the 90s Canner gear.
Yeah, they really put the effort in, man. Like to make good figures, good vehicles, good dinosaurs, and the various accessories and all that, and playpens. They're just like they're one of the best toy companies ever. Like I would put like Galoob and Kenner up there as like just amazing companies. And they're almost more like hobbyists, you know. They're really, you can tell the passion comes through in the stuff they make. Because then you see some of the other stuff from the other big companies where they're just cranking it out and don't care. But I to put these ones in, some old classics.
Yeah. They're from that PAPO company. I think they're like a French company, kind of like the main competitor to Schleich, I think, these guys.
I've seen some of these on Amazon, and I've never quite, I should pick up a couple just to chuck them in the old collection.
Really nice sculpt.
Finishing off with one of my favorites. Now, is that Muldoon the figure, or does it just look like was the actual?
That is actually, it's the guy that Pete Postlethwaite plays in the Lost
World.
Oh,
yeah, there we go. Because he could be either, because he's the same role in that film, but I just see the hat and the guy, and old Pete. Not around anymore.
Yeah, great character in that movie, though. One of my favorites. Favorite thing about the movie.
Very beloved actor. Him and Gene Hackman, like amazing roles, absolutely beloved among people who just like good character actors.
Yeah, no, he was really one of a kind. Definitely will be missed. I'm glad to get a nice little figure of him. Like that figure, I think actually came with one of the Lost World vehicles when I bought the Mattel set.
And the
but
final
not very
there.
obviously.
Spino going nuts.
Stormy day that day, you can tell by the clouds.
Oh, right. So there is the actual weather. It's not like a background thing. So that's the actual outside.
Oh yeah. Anytime when you ever see my setup with the rocks and stuff in the clouds, that's
I assume so.
Outside.
But when I look at that one, I'm like, is it a computer background or is it just the weather? So I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Good old weather. Good old crazy Irish weather. Sunny one second.
Like New Zealand weather
stormy
and Melbourne
next.
weather. It's very changeable.
Yeah, it was a good one. Do like that shot. I think that gun I gave him was from like an old I think Marvel Legends used to do these tiny little 1/18 scale figures that would come with accessories. I think that's where I got the gun from.
Oh, nice. So next week we'll be taking a look at Kenner 1993 catalog, which, funnily enough, will have some Jurassic
Ooh.
Park in there again.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say there's going to be some great stuff in that. There's going to be some sights to behold, no doubt. We always have a good time on the catalog shows. We like.
So I did have it loaded in
Flicking
there,
through
but
them.
it didn't come up for me. So instead, I'll go share screen just so I can bring up the image. No, that's where. There we go. There we go. So Kenner 93. So that was my saved
Cool.
image. I did actually have it loaded in here, but it didn't want to come up. But yeah, you got Batman animated, Jurassic Park, Aliens, Terminator, all the same year, which was crazy. So
What
there's
a
other
year.
years of Kenner, which we may look at, but I just thought we've done quite a lot of Turtles catalogs. We'll still do more. We're going to get right through the complete run, but we're getting towards the end. We've looked at a number of Transformers ones. We're about half to 3/4 of the way through them. We'll get to the end. So what else can we look at? We've done some Gloob. Let's look at some Kenner. Maybe plenty of stuff. But 93 just seems like an awesome year because we've done quite a bit of 92, 93 themed stuff. And it's got a lot of the cool things we like in there. Just kind of do an overview of that catalog because we've done previous Jurassic Park stuff. We've done the complete Aliens before. We've touched on Terminator, Predator, but just to see what else they got in there. They've also got bloody Nerf and some other girl stuff and whatever.
Oh, it's going to be great. All these big franchises hitting the catalog at the same time.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big
pretty
year.
good run,
Looking forward to it.
yeah,
I had a great time, though, I have to say, man. Looking at this '90s dinosaur stuff, like we were saying though at the start of the show. There's so much stuff you'd forget most of it. So if anybody can think of
there's
stuff
a whole
that we
bunch
didn't
of other
think
toy lines. You've got non-branded stuff, branded stuff, and there's so much. There's even ones, a couple other ones I was going to include, but I found them a week ago and I couldn't find them again when I was looking up stuff because the terms were just too generic to find them again.
Yeah, let us know, folks, if you have any kind of childhood specific memories or maybe memories unique to your part of the world you lived in or whatever you were seeing at the time.
Did you go to a cool science exhibit? Do you have a best toy, best film, or a cool cartoon? What crazy dinosaur thing did you like best from this era?
You live in a place that denied the existence of dinosaurs because, there weren't any on
Creationosaurus. I think that's what they call them.
Yeah. But yeah, folks, hope you really did enjoy the show and everybody's keeping well and keeping safe out there on internet land. And hope you have a dynamite day on whatever day.
Dynamite, baby.
Dynamite.
Dynamite. Okay. So we're going to love yous and leave yous and catch you all next week.
Take care, folks.